Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever stopped to think about how the same big brands seem to be, well, everywhere? The phone in your pocket, the car you drive. Today, we're diving deep into the massive companies behind it all, the multinational corporations. Let's jump right in. So, let's think about it for a second. Your phone, your car, maybe even the coffee you're drinking right now. What's the one invisible thread that connects them all? Well, chances are they're all products of what we call a multinational corporation, or an MNC for short. These companies operate on a scale that's just massive. And today, we're going to break down exactly what that means. All right, so what does it even mean to be a global giant? Let's start with the absolute basics and build our understanding from the ground up. Okay, first things first, we need to understand the playing field itself, and that's international business. Really, this is just any kind of commercial deal. We're talking sales, investments, shipping that happens between two or more countries. It's the whole universe of global trade. Okay, so within that giant universe of global trade, we find our main subject, the multinational corporation. And here's what makes them so special. An MNC doesn't just sell its products in other countries. It actually owns productive assets there. We're talking factories, offices, research labs, all managed from a head office back in its home country. And that ownership is the absolute key difference. This brings up a huge question, right? Why would any company bother with all that? I mean, it's incredibly complex, it's risky, so let's dig into what's really driving them to expand beyond their borders. So yeah, what's the real motivation to operate in, dozens of different countries? It's not just for fun, that's for sure. The reasons are both powerful and really strategic. It really boils down to a few key things. A huge one is something called economies of scale. Basically, if you can sell to the whole world, you can produce on a massive level, which makes every single item cheaper to make. But they're also chasing new, growing markets, looking for cheaper labor or resources, and this is a clever one, they can actually get around trade taxes or tariffs by building their factories inside the countries they want to sell to. Okay, so we've got the why. Now let's get into the what. And I'm telling you, the sheer scale of these corporations, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. And I'm not exaggerating here. It is absolutely staggering. We're not talking about just big companies. We're talking about economic forces that are as powerful as many entire countries. Just look at these numbers. They're mind-boggling. This is data for the top 100 non-financial MNCs. Just zero in on that foreign column. We're talking $8.27 trillion in assets, located outside their home countries. To put that in perspective for you, that one number is bigger than the entire yearly economic output of most nations on Earth. It just shows you how deeply these companies are woven into the very fabric of the global economy. And this chart, it just drives that point home perfectly. For the absolute biggest players on the planet, almost two-thirds, a full 64% of their sales come from foreign markets. Think about that. Their home country isn't even their main market anymore. The entire world is. But, having all that economic power, it doesn't come without some serious debate. The global reach of these MNCs creates a whole lot of really complex issues, and it paints a much more complicated picture. So is this global reach a win for everybody? I mean, on one hand, yeah, MNCs can bring in investment, jobs, and new tech, but their impact isn't always a positive story. For a lot of people, and even whole countries, the answer to that question is a pretty firm no. Let's look at it from the side of the host countries. That's where the MNCs set up shop. There are some huge concerns. For one, they can be so big they just steamroll local businesses. There's also the criticism that they keep all their best cutting-edge technology back home. And then there's a big one, using clever accounting tricks like transfer pricing. This is basically where they sell goods between their own internal divisions across borders, all to shift their profits to countries with low taxes so they can avoid paying their fair share. And hey, the worries aren't just in other countries. Back in the home countries where these giants are based, people get worried too. They see jobs getting outsourced to places with cheaper labor, and they see investment dollars that could have been spent at home flowing overseas. Plus, there's a huge environmental angle, the fear that companies just move their dirtiest factories to places with weaker rules. But the story is still evolving. It doesn't end there, because the very idea of what a global giant is, well, that's changing fast. as a whole new set of players from all over the world are getting in the game.
For decades, if you said multinational corporation, the image that popped into your head was probably a company from the US or Japan or somewhere in Western Europe. Well, that picture is seriously out of date.
And this chart tells a really powerful part of that new story. Check this out. For the top 100 MNCs that are based in what we call developing economies, foreign sales already make up almost half of all their revenue. The global economic power map is literally being redrawn right before our eyes. There's a whole new generation of global players rising up, and they have incredible momentum. They're coming from places like Asia and Latin America, and they are completely reshaping how international business gets done. And to make this real, just think about some of the big companies coming out of India. Names you might know, like Tata, Wipro, Reliance, and Infosys. These aren't just big companies in India anymore. They are powerful global MNCs in their own right, competing and buying up assets all over the world.
So, all of this leaves us with a really big question to chew on. As these new players rise and the whole global economy shifts, what are these multinational corporations, really? Are they engines of progress? Are they sources of conflict? Or are they, more likely, a really complicated mix of both? The answer, whatever it is going to define the future of the global economy for all of us.